Hi everyone, welcome to TwoTwins in EVE, your weekly update for EVE Online stuff. I am your host, delonewolf. Let's start with the dev blog on changes to the war mechanics. The first things Team Super Friends will try to address are the ways players can shield themselves from war decks. Two of the most common ways to do this at the moment are one, to join a phony alliance and then leaving it, which leaves the war deck on the alliance, or number two, to have alt corporations war deck you to inflate the cost of a legitimate war deck. A list of changes is detailed in the dev blog. The most interesting to me are that the CEO can now declare a war, so no more voting will be needed. The second is the war report, which will detail all the losses on a timeline and give an approximate ISK loss overview. And finally, the mercenary marketplace, which will allow defending corporations to hire merc corporations or allied corporations to help them in the war. Keep in mind that all this is still work in progress and is subject to change. As some of you might have seen on the forums, CCP has taken actions against RMT accounts and their customers, banning a few surprising accounts and leaving people with a negative wallet. CCP's Creeks confirmed the actions were RMT related, but won't discuss any specifics. Rumor has it a Pandemic Legion account with 15 trillion ISK was banned, and that would have been over $400,000 worth of ISK, but from Screech's dev blog after the facts, I got that 105 RMT accounts were banned and around 3 trillion ISK was seized from them. So that's still around $80,000, but not as high as what was rumored. CCP also released several more videos from FanFest, including a few about World of Darkness, so if you're interested in the vampire game, or EVE of course, check out youtube.com/ccpgames. In EVE Online, the overview is one of the most complex yet vital parts of the game. Many pilots struggle with its complexity, but now Liberty Prime's UI generator is here to help you. Liberty Prime offers overview packages featuring modified ship labels, modified overview labels, and 6 carefully designed overview profiles. Choose from existing packages or create your own, whether you're a new capsuleer or an experienced veteran. To get the most out of your overview, head over to highsecdropouts.com/overview and check out Liberty Prime's UI generator. That's highsecdropouts.com/overview. Custom overviews for you. Finally, to end this week's episode, I thought I would talk a bit about the video that I'm most interested in and that was released last week, which was the video on the state of the economy. And a few of the facts that stood out to me in this lecture were first of all about the player demographics, that wormhole space continues to become more and more popular. It's mostly 0-0 players that are moving to wormhole space, so I think that that's pretty interesting. The percentages were pretty low, but it's definitely a trend that is being confirmed. Second, Cheetah is the system with the most destroyed ships in tonnage. Pretty interesting. I would have thought that maybe a few of the 0-0 systems that are real bottlenecks or have seen enormous fights would have been up there, but of course Cheetah is just one system. It's the major trade hub and apparently it's also the major PvP hub. So that was pretty interesting, a pretty funny fact. In the mineral market, Mexalon has become the major driver in the mineral price index. This is due to the new battle cruisers, which require a relatively large amount of Mexalon to produce and have thus increased the demand for it. So I have chosen to mine a lot of Mexalon myself in the last few months. Turns out this was definitely the right choice. And that's a pretty interesting fact to keep in mind if you're a miner or if you're active in a mineral market, so that these new battle cruisers are basically what have been driving up the price of Mexalon, and that this is the major part of what has been driving up the mineral prices in general. On the Plex front, CCP is still open to intervening in the Plex market. We already know this from last year's FanFest, but this year they've made this one step more concrete, because the first thing that CCP plans, I think, it wasn't 100% confirmed, but plans to do is to recirculate plexes from permanent banned accounts. At the moment of the lecture, there were actually 10,000 plexes on permanently banned accounts, so if CCP decides to put these back on the market, this should drive down the price of plex a little bit, at least for some time. It's also important to note that CCP won't just decide this on their own. They will always talk to the CSM whenever they do an intervention and then discuss the result of this, giving the CSM the chance to communicate all of this to the player base. So I think this is a pretty good system that they're planning to work with. Finally, on inflation itself, this wasn't covered in the lecture itself, but what came up after a question from one of the attendees. The average ISK per account went from 400 million to 600 million in the last 12 months. So that's a rise of 50%. And while CCP has said that they are going to keep an eye on this, in my opinion, this is a clear sign that inflation is still here to stay in the short term, as no real extra ISK sinks have been announced or anything like that. So that's it for this week, and I'll see you all next time.